Hello and welcome to HuddleCamHD's live webinar. Today we are talking about instructional technology, in particular, how teachers and educators are using PTZ cameras, but also good old-fashioned webcams as well, how we can use them together to create dynamic presentations. And I'm joined with my co-host, Tess Protesto. Tess, how are you doing?
Hi, Paul. I'm doing well. Happy to have this conversation today and talk about the differences in this type of technology and how they can be used in education.
So Tess has, along with me, Tess has a HuddleCam HD Pro that she's going to
Why
be
is that
able to
24
show
miles?
off today, and I will be showing off a few of our HuddleCam HD cameras. So it's going to be an exciting webinar. I wanted to start off by letting people know that we do have a giveaway. So you can win a HuddleCam HD webcam, and you can scan this QR code here to enter the giveaway if you haven't got the link yet. If you're watching live on Zoom, I wanted to let you guys know we're going to have tons of time for Q&A. So if you have any questions along the way, let me know. And you do need to be watching live in order to claim your prize. So as we all know, education has shifted quite a bit, and it's going to be hybrid for probably the foreseeable future. And what does that mean, and what are the tools that educators are using? Tess, you've been kind of part of a lot of these presentations that we've been doing, and you've seen some of the educators out there. What can you tell me you've been seeing so far?
Well, at first, there was this giant shift to how do we figure out how to go virtual? And this past year, I think that schools have been rushing to do that. And now they kind of have some sort of system implemented. But now we're kind of at this transformative time where we're thinking about next year. Are we going to stay virtual? Are we going to be hybrid? So I think that we're definitely going to see a really interesting shift happen with
I
the
couldn't
video
agree
communication.
more. And some of the technology we'll talk about today include webcams, video conferencing cameras, auto tracking cameras, using Zoom video conferencing and some tips and tricks for Zoom, how to use interactivity. And then we'll also, kind of talk about lecture capture as well, and some of the cameras and solutions that are used for actually just capturing lectures as well. Here's a picture of Case Western University, and they use auto tracking cameras, the Simple Track 2 cameras, to automatically follow teachers. And one thing, Tess, I think a lot of teachers and IT managers are thinking about is how do we make this easy so that a teacher can just walk in, and there's going to be some technology and some technical skills needed, obviously, I think, at this point, but how can we make it a simple experience for them?
Yeah, definitely. How can we make it adjustable by teachers, or to not have to adjust it at all? It's kind of an interesting dynamic that we're seeing here for level of technology experience needed and managing that.
So the first thing I wanted to talk about was the webcams that we offer here at HuddleCam HD and how important it is for a teacher to be able to use these webcams effectively. And so a simple webcam, this is, the Logitech webcam is really the most popular, but the HuddleCam HD one here is full HD and it's a wide angle webcam. But this plug and play webcam can do a lot of things. And obviously teachers need to understand how to use these webcams, and going, I think, from the understanding of what a webcam is and how it can be used with Zoom and other applications, then we're going to talk about how are PTZ cameras a little different, and why are PTZ cameras, like this one here, for example, able to show more details. And I actually have a HuddleCam HD 3XA set up here that we will show off in just a minute. This camera is all plugged in and ready to go, and we're going to show the video of that through Zoom and some of the opportunities that teachers will have from a presentation perspective to show things in more detail. So with the webcams in particular, we have two different types of webcams at HuddleCam HD, and I wanted Tess actually to show the HuddleCam HD Pro webcam. I'll show the regular webcam here, but they're both plug and play video conferencing cameras, but the HuddleCamHD Pro has some really nice 4K electronic pan tilt zoom features I wanted Tess to show, because it's only $299. And I think for some teachers, Tess, what do you think? It kind of opens up some additional presentation capabilities for them.
It really does. It's a great step up from your standard webcam, and it's a great between that professional pan tilt zoom camera and a webcam, because it does have that digital pan tilt zoom feature. It also has some features like on-screen display menu, so you can adjust things like color, brightness, exposure with the camera. And this camera also has the ability to set and call preset positions, which could certainly be great for a classroom application or even a desk learning or teaching environment. I had set here a couple presets myself just to show you guys. It comes with remote control to easily adjust these presets, but we also do have applications as well. So this is our USB version, by the way. We do have an NDI version that is PoE and obviously runs over Ethernet, but this is using the USB output, but this camera also does have an HDMI output, which is where you get that 4K image quality from.
Thank you, Tess. You reminded me to bring out the NDI version of this camera, and I thought about that because it is interesting to think about kind of just the step up of different types of cameras and webcam technology that are going to be deployed for classrooms. So as you mentioned, this is the 4K webcam that actually has an HDMI output as well. And this is the HuddleCamHD Pro. The HDMI is actually starting to be used by a lot of power users who are using the Blackmagic 810 minis. So this wouldn't be your everyday teacher, but a lot of video broadcaster teachers, teachers in the video space, teachers who want to use more than one camera in their classroom are starting to use the A10 Mini with HDMI and then bringing from the A10 Mini to USB. But I digress. So that's the HuddleCamHD Pro, and this is the HuddleCamHD Pro IP, which Tess mentioned is powered over Ethernet. This is an NDI camera. So a lot of schools are using NDI as a simple way to add IP-connected cameras. But I wanted to segue from, I think it's just such a good segue, Tess, because we showed the webcam, a PTZ webcam. Now let's show an actual PTZ camera. And this is the HuddleCamHD 3XA. And similar to the HuddleCamHD Pro, like Tess was showing, it does come with an IR remote control. And the IR remote control can be used by a teacher to set those PTZ camera presets. And so I wanted to quickly just show my camera here. And Mike, I'll show it in this Zoom session here, and I'll just spotlight it really quickly so everyone can see. So this is the video from the HuddleCamHD 3X. Now, one of the really cool things about the HuddleCamHD 3X is that it can actually be controlled through Zoom. So I can actually give camera control to students in my classroom, for example. To show you what the Zoom would do, so here's zooming in and out there. And so that allows the teacher to zoom into perhaps a presentation space. And there's a lot of different reasons and place to use. But you can see here that Tess is actually requesting control there. Did you see that? And so now Tess actually can control this camera. So directly through Zoom. So it's a really, really cool application.
Whoa. I just switched cameras.
Yes. So Tess, you can actually switch between cameras as well. So you have you can do that too. Yeah.
Very cool. I didn't know that. And this is definitely going to be one of those cameras for the teachers who don't quite want to have to control too much about it. It has audio within it, so you don't have to worry about the audio element. And you can just mount it right below your display in the room, and it has a nice wide angle lens. I could capture the whole room if you'd like.
So I wanted to show this quick little slide here, which shows the electronic pan tilt zoom functionality. And what this does is, and Mike, that shot you have, there's another one. In fact, I can even just minimize this for you and it'll show. But essentially, there's a 4K wide angle lens, and the wide angle lens can be zoomed into different electronic pan tilt zoom spaces. So in this space, we're showing an educational environment where there's an artist showing off their presentation. And as we all know, there may be art students at home, right? And we're trying to have a hybrid style classroom where students can see into the space. This single webcam, which only costs $2.99, has the ability to extend the zoom that you would normally be able to do with a webcam, up to about 5 to 10 feet. So that's pretty nice for a webcam. In fact, I wrote this down here that a regular webcam is good for 2 to 4 feet, but an EPTZ webcam with 4K using Zoom is good to about 5 to 10 feet. So that's nice, allowing you to have a very simple plug and play webcam that can zoom in. Now, some teachers are starting to find that they may have a webcam and they may have a PTZ camera installed in their classroom. And we want to encourage teachers to use that conference camera that the school may be installed in the classroom. And so I wanted to talk today a little bit about the different types of use cases here where we can decide to use one or the other. Now, in this use case, we actually have an electronic pan tilt zoom webcam. So that webcam actually can be used to zoom into a blackboard or a whiteboard behind the teacher. So Tess, for example, if you don't mind, let's assume you're the teacher and maybe that presentation space would be behind you. Maybe it'd be one of those pictures. So you have obviously the ability to present yourself as the instructor, but also you could set a preset or at least pan, tilt, and zoom to a new space that maybe would be a whiteboard or a blackboard area, right?
Yeah, that's definitely a great feature to have with the presets.
Okay. So from there, we have the PTZ camera. And the PTZ camera, again, both of these are connected via USB. So, and both of these cameras have microphones built in. So, you would want to choose one microphone system over the other. And so that's the first thing we should talk about is audio. So as the teacher, depending on the microphones that are closest to you, are generally going to be the audio that you'd want to bring into Zoom or Kaltura or your lecture capture learning environment. So if your webcam microphones are closer to you than, let's say, the conference camera that maybe is in the back of the room, you may find that the audio coming from the HuddleCamHD Pro is actually better in Zoom for the students to hear. And we all know audio is important. Now, some schools obviously have completely separate audio systems, and a lapel microphone or a headset microphone like I'm using can really do wonders for your video as well. But I just wanted to show this off here. So maybe you have a USB microphone system, maybe you don't, but you definitely have options here. Now, the PTZ camera, that gives you a different viewpoint. As we were looking at, you have the ability to zoom in from the back of the room or from the front of the room. In fact, we have found that a lot of teachers like to have two cameras in the classroom so that students who are at home can see the other students. And I think that is so important. So if you are a teacher and you have a webcam and you have a PTZ camera, use your webcam maybe to show the students. So flip that webcam around. You've already got a great view of yourself and your presentation space. In fact, Michael, why don't we go ahead and show an auto tracking camera to demonstrate this point? So let's go ahead and show, yep, there we go. So let's say I am the teacher, okay? And I have an auto tracking camera, lucky me, right? And so that's my main conference camera. So this is my main camera. This is my whiteboard area. This is where I'm drawing. This is the main view that students are going to see on Zoom. Now, if I have a webcam, say this is my webcam, I think a lot of teachers might just put that webcam on their computer and just sit it there looking at them when you could just turn that around, use it as a second camera in your Zoom session, in your videos for a secondary purpose. Now, the secondary purpose that I'm thinking of is just to show the students, because I've been to classes during COVID, right, during the pandemic, and I know that students at home want to see their classmates and they want to see those open desks and they want to possibly go to that space.
This really speaks to the hybrid learning model, if you think about it, because you might have a camera in the back of the classroom that is pointed at the teacher for those students who are learning remotely. And then you might have a webcam mounted on your monitor that's pointing at your students, so the students can actually interact with one another in that hybrid learning model.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Tess, because it reminds me, Mike, if I can show this remote control, it reminds me of a trip that I took to Rosemont College here in Pennsylvania during the pandemic. And I spoke with Christine Hagedorn, the professor there, and she used one PTZ camera in the front of the classroom and one in the back. And I noticed that she was using 2 remote controls, and I forgot to tell her, well, I told her that I said, look, each remote control can control 3 cameras. So just use camera 1 for your front camera and camera 2 for your back camera. And then you just have to have one PTZ camera or one PTZ remote for both. So that was an interesting thing here there. But if you look at this presentation we have here, this slide, we're showing the webcam at the desk. This is the way that a lot of teachers have it, right? But I would recommend that we perhaps spin that over this way. And that was actually just kind of an idea I just had, but I think that's a good idea. And then the PTZ camera obviously is capturing the teacher and a presenter. Now, the next thing I wanted to show, and this is something everybody knows about, but I just wanted to mention it. And Tess, you did this remotely. You switched cameras for me. Did you notice that?
That's something I didn't even know that we could do until just then with Zoom. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So
and what's our application for that?
So if you hit Alt-N, or you just hit the little caret on your Zoom window, you can switch cameras in Zoom. And Zoom will just cycle through the available cameras on your computer. So if you have 2 cameras connected to your computer, Zoom will switch between them. The interesting thing that you just showed, Tess, is that a teacher could have a teacher's assistant join the Zoom meeting and switch the cameras for them.
That's a great point.
So I
should have plugged my webcam in to do that.
Now, the next thing I wanted to show, and I'm going to do this live here with Zoom, is sharing content from a second camera. Okay. So let's say you've got your webcam. Okay. And you hit the advanced area and you go to share content from second camera. Now what we've done here, now I have a lot of cameras attached to my computer, so I'm not sure which one Zoom is using right now. It should be the HuddleCamHD camera. It's this one. There we go. Okay. So that's how that works. Now, let's go back to the normal screen share here. So essentially, this allows teachers to do things much easier than ever before. And I do think that USB plug and play technology that works with Zoom, that works with Microsoft Teams, that works with the Google Play and Kaltura and Panopto, that's really a great place for teachers to start. So we have to remember a lot of teachers are new to technology. If they can simply plug the camera, plug the microphone directly into a USB port on their computer, that just makes sense. So today we've kind of discussed the difference between a PTZ camera and a webcam, and the webcam with electronic PTZ camera controls. We've looked at an IR remote to control PTZ cameras, and we've kind of looked at some of the fields of view, right? And some of the reasons why you might want to have so that you can simplify things down to a single camera with a single USB connection. Here you're seeing 2 different presets. So maybe there's one preset that's zoomed in to a specific area. There's a wider view. And again, those are controlled by the teacher's IR remote control. And a lot of schools, we're bringing this up just again because they really like the 10X and the 3XA because it's a simple, affordable plug and play camera from HuddleCamHD, which has I think it's a 3-year warranty, and obviously we really support it. And then we looked a little bit at the auto tracking cameras that are more popular in higher ed, but we do see in K through 12 as well, where we have a PTZ auto tracking camera that works with up to 1080p at 60 frames a second. Tess made this beautiful diagram. Tess, why don't you explain to me what this diagram is saying?
Well, I don't know about beautiful, but the auto tracking camera does have preset tracking positions. So here we're showing an example of a half body preset, a full body preset at the whiteboard, and of course, just a general full body preset.
Nice. Yep. And of course, those are totally customizable, but those are some of the more popular ones that are used today. There's some really cool tracking zones. Oh, that was a GIF that allow you to set specific tracking areas to control the camera, to do things like calling PTZ presets, and even controlling software like vMix and OBS. It's really, really cool stuff. And then there's great camera management software and automation that comes with it. Even live stream directly to Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Panopto, and Blackboard. In fact, the school we were working with, Case Western University, has over 10 Simple Track 2s. They connect them to Echo 360 lecture capture systems, which automatically send the content to Canvas, which is their learning management system. We also have a lot of customers that use Epiphan, which integrates directly to Kaltura and Panopto. So a lot of great options for lecture capture with this camera as well. And Tess, that about wraps it up for today's presentation.
Great. I have some questions for you if you're ready to take on some of them.
Let's do it.
All right, Daryl in Zoom. Hey, Daryl says, a laptop doesn't have very many ports. Can a USB switch be used to switch cameras like the HuddleCamHD Pro or the Pro IP?
Dun, dun, dun. That is a good
question.
question.
Would that mean like through a hub?
That is a good question. So
have we not tested that?
No, I've tested it. It's just there's a long-winded answer, and I'm just gonna go with this. So the answer to this question, and I'm gonna just change this real quick. The answer to that question is that a lot of computers, all computers have USB ports, right? But they all have a certain amount. Let's say they have 3 or 4. That's probably normal, maybe 6. What you're
I have
looking
4.
at,
I'm pretty happy with that.
So you have 4, right? And Tess, tell me this: it's a laptop, right? You have 4 on one side, or 2 on one side, and 2 on the other?
3 on one side, 1 on the other.
This computer I have right here has 3 on one side and 1 on the other. Now, generally what happens, and you can look into your computer, and I'm sorry this is a long-winded answer, is that the 3 ports on this side have 1 USB bus. The 1 port on the other side has 1 USB bus. And those USB buses, depending on how new your computer is, have bandwidth limitations. So for example, USB 2 can support 400 megabits, USB 3 can support 10, I think it's 5 gigabits. And then USB-C now does 10 gigabits, right? So you can use a USB hub with cameras, but the thing you need to think about is the bandwidth, because if it's a USB 2 hub, okay, you sure as heck shouldn't be plugging 3 USB 3 ports into that, right? So yes, you can plug in as many cameras as you'd like. I'm hoping I'm answering this question correctly, Tess, but you need to be thinking about the bandwidth that's available to you, because that's where people come into issues, trying to plug 3 USB 3 cameras into one side of their computer, which only has the ability to send, USB 2 data or something along those lines. Am I answering the question correctly, Tess?
I think so, because I believe that's what he meant. I'm sure he'll comment if we didn't hit the nail on the head there.
Okay.
Also, Josh says, do the NDI cameras work with the Echo 360? Last I checked, they didn't support NDI.
That is true. Panopto does support NDI. So with that being said, NDI can be converted to HDMI or SDI with a decoder. I don't believe, I got one right here. Here is one right here. This is, I'll put it here, Mike, so you can zoom into it. This is a NDI to HDMI decoder. So the NDI will come in, and Mike's going to zoom into this in a sec. The NDI comes in right here. Okay, and this is cool too because it's got a QR code, so you can actually just scan it and it'll give you the connection to this.
You love your QR codes.
I'm big into QR codes these days. It's got a USB output, which is pretty cool. So you can actually just bring it out as webcam, but it also has an HDMI output. And the HDMI can be plugged into Echo 360. Boom. Happen to have it right in front of me.
There you have it. Dan from Case Western Reserve University is here. Hi, Dan. Dan says,
Hi, Dan.
as in Case Western Reserve University, are using both the USB and SDI out of the SimpleTrack 2, one for the Echo 360 and one for Zoom. It works great.
I forgot about that. That's a good point. Let me grab, hi, Dan, by the way. That's the SimpleTrack 2 right there. Mike's zooming in on it a little bit. I wanted to grab this, Mike, and I'll put it over here where you already zoomed in. This is the SimpleTrack 2. You want me to walk around and do a little demo? Oh, look at Mike. Mike's putting in a picture box here. You can see.
That's a nice shot.
You can see the SimpleTrack following me. And the other cool thing is you can see that little light behind the SimpleTrack test.
I do see that.
I'm going to turn this on the grid mode over here. That little light is called a tally light. And for teachers who, I'm going to turn this on to gallery view. There we go. For teachers who aren't sure which camera to look at, if there is more than one camera, these tally lights are really nice for that. There's a lot of cameras in this space that I'm in now, so it's nice to have those little lights that turn on so I know which camera to look at. Mike, if you want to show this little space right here, this space shows the back of the HuddleCamHD SimpleTrack 2. And the back of this system shows the USB, which Dan was using for Zoom, SDI, which we were using for Echo 360. The nice thing about SDI and Echo 360 is that SDI can reliably be run 100 feet, right? And it's a durable cable. It has a locking connector. You know it's going to work. USB is better for shorter connections. 12 feet is, I think, the standard for USB 3. Okay, Tess.
Sorry, I'm sharing a link in the chat to the Pro Convert. I actually accidentally sent the wrong link at first, so I resent it. Okay, what else do we have here? Josh says, also, do you have any specifics on network bandwidth required to run NDI streams at various settings? 720, 1084K at 330 or 60?
Yes. Essentially, I have just some basic, and by the way, we recently published a book called The Basics of Live Streaming, and it's totally free. It's called The Basics of Live Streaming. And in this book, there is a chapter all about NDI. And it's totally free, so you can download it. But in this book, I'm just going to reference it because I think it'd be easier. Essentially, there are some bandwidth recommendations, and full NDI is generally between 120 and 200 megabits per second. And NDI high efficiency, NDI HX, is generally between 8 and 22 megabits per second. Now, all NDI video feeds, did that just turn black? All NDI video feeds,
You're good.
Oh, good. all NDI video feeds can be accessed in a low bandwidth mode, and it's a little more pixelated that way. But if you're just going to preview an NDI feed, that can reduce bandwidth as well. So each full NDI video feed, and this would be I believe this Pro Convert we were looking at can do both full NDI and NDI high efficiency. I'm not sure. If it's just full NDI, it literally can be up to 150, 200 megabits per second, which would mean you'd want to have a 10 gigabit network to be doing, a lot of video.
Do you have a link to download that book? I can't find one.
It's streamgeeks.us/basics.
Okay, I will share that. And I think that covers the questions that I have for you. I'll share that link. Looks like we can do a giveaway.
All right, great. So we're going to give away a HuddleCamHD webcam today. Here it is here. I'm going to pull a winner.
Hey. Remember, you must be present in the chat to claim your prize.
Shapiro from Caledonia, Michigan. Is Shapiro here? So I'm going to give them a second, and then I'm going to pick another winner. His name's Shapiro. It sounds like Shakira kind of.
Okay, Mark's clarifying for me because I did share 2 links in the Zoom chat. The first one is baby alert, is NDI to HDMI USB, and the second one is HDMI to NDI. So I might have confused some people.
Richard Pine from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Okay, gonna keep going down.
Keeping an eye in the chat. See if anybody.
Mark Hogg also from Wisconsin. Well, everyone's from Wisconsin. There must be a bunch of friends from Wisconsin. Mark Hogg.
A good chance to win today because we did the giveaway a little bit late, not as many entries. We'll keep doing them.
Okay, John Tinholt from.
Oh, Mark Haig is here.
Oh, Mark is here. Okay.
Yep, in Zoom. Yay!
Yay! All right, Tess, can you just reach out to Mark then and get his information?
Sure can.
All right, that's our show, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. We really had a great time having you here, and look forward to our next webinar. It's going to be the first Thursday of every month, so we'd love to have you guys back. Thanks.
First Thursday of every month.
That's right. Is that what I said?
At 12:30 p.m. I thought you said Wednesday, but I might have just been going crazy.